And we're back. The Vacuous perspective is back.
Back again.
Yeah, back again. I'm Val, and I'm joined always by Nate.
Not always.
Well,
not always, but most of the time.
I think it's an always scenario. Every week, Nate says, well, he doesn't say it every week, but the thought is everyone should be able to find their bit that they enjoyed from the episode, or not enjoyed, but found interesting at the very least.
Something
right?
that resonates with them, yes.
Yeah. Without even knowing what we're going to talk about tonight, that guarantee exists, right? Now,
always.
In celebration of this, we're going to be doing some
guarantee. Mm-hmm.
Well, we want people to tell us if they found their bit, because I want to know if they found it. I want to know if they didn't find it, because we're doing T-shirts. I found my bit T-shirts. I didn't find my bit T-shirts. Now, there was one guy who wasn't particularly not impressed with last week's episode, decided to drop us a comment. Thank you so much. VTuber cringe, I believe, was the comment. So he didn't find his bit potentially, and he'd be prime for one of those T-shirts. He'd love it. Yeah, I'm assuming they're gender, but let's say it's a him.
Well, maybe VTuber cringe is what this gentleman's about. Maybe that was his bit. I mean, he didn't specify whether it was like he said it was cringy, but he might be looking for that as well.
Yep.
Don't you think?
Well, he found it.
Yeah, he found it. Good for him. And I mean, the guarantee still exists until proven otherwise.
Yeah. Yeah. Haven't had any evidence to the contrary, so we'll still go with it. You know, the working theory is there's a bit out there for everybody.
And we don't know whether he listened to the whole episode either.
Yeah.
So
he might have robbed himself of his bit.
Yeah. You at least need to check the description below for the topics of discussion, at least.
We talked about a lot of stuff last week. And so much so that I didn't even get to talk about one of the things that I had written down. You know how you have stuff written down sometimes?
Yeah.
Oh, this is what I want to do. I want to make sure that this gets sort of floated.
Yeah, you got to cover that.
Something that we talked about recently, cryogenically freezing people.
Yeah.
We've had a bit of an Australia first in that
Walt
space.
Disney. Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah. What have we done? What have we done now?
We've frozen our first person.
Yeah, put him in the Ninja Creamy, blend him up into an ice cream.
Basically. Don't know how to make him into a delicious human again, back into regular form, but we can do the ice cream bit. That's right. Yeah. One problem.
Who's done what? Sorry.
A company.
Yeah.
An Australian company.
Frozen someone.
Yeah.
I mean, I could freeze someone.
Yeah.
It's unfreezing them that's the hard part. I think we've all figured out how to freeze something.
Yes. But what's your understanding of what cryogenically freezing someone is all about, or what's it for?
Okay, I'm the wrong guy to ask. Every question you have, I'm the wrong guy, but because you're asking me.
I want to know what you think about it.
It's the word suspended animation gets thrown out there.
Yeah, okay.
With this kind of thing. So it's almost like in my mind, the way my mind is working is it's like a flash freeze of someone. And you may have to get someone into a certain state of body biochemistry or something.
Relaxation, perhaps.
Yeah, relaxation. You might need
perhaps something chemical.
Drugs or something,
yeah.
Get you in the body ready for this like long, essentially slumber or freeze, whatever. It's not sleep, is it? It's not sleep.
No, it isn't.
Because there's no moving parts to you anymore. There's no thought process, as far as I understand.
Yeah. Now, Now, we know about the potential applications for space travel and things like that. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Because you can't have that whole aging thing coming into the equation if it takes 15 or 20 years to get somewhere, for example.
And it's going to take far, 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 far longer than that as well.
Depends on where you're going. Depends on where you're
going. We're not going to. It's not realistic to get anywhere near light speed.
Again, depends on where you're going. Well, Mars is an easier proposition to a nearby stars.
Sure.
Planet.
Okay.
Sure.
No, sorry, I was thinking intersolar system.
So your understanding of cryo-freezing is what? That we're doing it to the living?
Yes.
Well, let me tell you something.
Why would you freeze a dead person?
Dead guy.
Okay, well, I know that we freeze
With the
injured
view,
people.
with the view to resuscitate them in the future.
Yeah, okay. I know that we have frozen some sick people that
Yes.
are terminally ill.
Right. That's the application that I always thought about, where it's like, okay, we can't cure your disease right now, but
So they're
maybe in
already
10,
dead.
15, 20 years' time. Yeah, this one already dead. Now,
How dead? Did they consent to this?
dead.
Can you consent when you're dead?
No,
surely someone
probably
has to
not.
consent. Someone
It would
next
be
to
consent
kin.
while you're alive. They paid
So
their
he said,
pod
you can
fee,
resume
200
my
grand.
body.
Yeah.
And freezing. Why didn't you just get frozen earlier? I don't know. Okay, so Australia did this. Is that legal?
Well, again, you said you could freeze someone. I mean, you can't legally freeze someone, but apparently this company can. Now, yeah, that is the extent to which I've heard about it. Tell me you're doing some Googling on this because I need to be fact-checked.
Okay, no, I'm not.
Tell
I
me.
was looking up something that is loosely related. And when I say loosely, I was looking into some old royal history of the UK. And long story short, Charles I got beheaded back in the day because they said that the king was not above the law and he was being a tyrant, and so they beheaded him.
This isn't the one where they found him in a car park, is it?
King Charles back in the 17th century?
Yeah, they found Charles's skeleton just under pavement.
There were a lot of Charles. There was a lot of Charles.
Yeah, there would have been.
This is back in. Oh, that's interesting. He was beheaded 1649. But so this is what I found interesting is that 11 years later, so his son Charles II, he had to go into hiding. He instantly got made king of the Scots for some reason. So he went up to Scotland for a bit, lost a battle, and then had to – apparently he was hiding in trees and stuff to avoid detection, made his way down to Holland. And then some loyal royalists decided – they reconstituted Parliament because things had gone to shit in England, and they invited him back. They invited the monarchy back. Ooh. So Charles II came back. And all the guys that signed his father's death warrant, he wanted executed. So there was about 30 still living. And so he executed about 12 of them. And he also dug up the bodies of some of the dead guys and had them hung.
Oh, yeah, right.
This is where
just in case.
Well, it sort of reminds me of what you're saying. You're digging someone up to freeze them to try and bring them back to life. I thought that was weird. But I also thought digging up someone and hanging them, their corpse, is also kind of weird.
And I've said it before, I find it very strange, very unbelievable that man worked out the concept of an afterlife to begin with. It's such a big concept. To think about even just life is a very big concept. And we're just talking about the bit that we know about, which is what we experience. To invent or even to just conjure the notion of something after this, that's next level shit. I have no idea what that is. Is that dreaming? Are they dreaming and saying, oh well, we know that the real world exists and we know that this dream thing exists because everyone experiences dreams. Maybe that's the sort of pathway to believing that there's some sort of life beyond life. I don't know.
I'm not sure if it's that big a leap. Because when I think of the afterlife,
yeah, go on.
I think of things being much the same as they are right now, but perhaps in a cloud. Like that's
right.
You know, it's not. It's this. It's like my mind's not creative enough.
Your mind's The Simpsons.
Yeah, yeah. Like, what do you think? What do you think the afterlife looks like or resembles? It won't resemble anything.
It changed. It's changed a lot over the years, right? I think I definitely would have had the just cloud and there's a guy with a beard moment. And then you sort of might interpret it as, well, if heaven is perfection or whatever, then it is probably tailored to the person, meaning it's probably just feelings or something.
A 24/7 orgasm.
Pretty much. I think that's
Is
that's
that heaven?
pretty.
Yeah.
I don't.
It might ruin it. It might
whilst-
ruin it a little bit.
It would. It absolutely would.
Yeah. What's better than how do you then?
Because it isn't just that. It's
how do you have a
also-
climactic moment? Right?
No, you
I'm
can't.
just saying you can't.
You can't. It's
you're
impossible.
stuffed.
So
Yeah.
heaven becomes hell very quickly.
Oh my God. Don't think about it too much.
No, don't just don't want perfection all the time.
Yeah. Well, this is the yin yang thing, right? You need the dark to have the light. You need the contrast
peaks
between
and
the two.
troughs.
Yeah.
What other cliches have we
Climaxes
got?
and non-orgasms.
Yes, need both.
Yeah, you need both. I don't know what a non-orgasm is. I guess that's just regular living, I think. Yeah.
I think it's like going to the supermarket
Yeah.
or filling
Stubbing
your
your
car
toe.
up with
Stubbing
petrol.
your
Yeah.
toe. That's totally a non-orgasm.
Oh, you know what? I had one of the worst experiences last night. I had a real craving for something sweet, something nice, right?
Yeah.
But it had nothing in the house of that
Add a
nature.
peanut M&Ms.
So I just thought, I had none.
Yeah.
Just thought, I never do this. Let's go on one of those apps and let's order snacks. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Never done it before.
Yeah.
You start having all these moments of or thoughts of, well, I have to make this worth it. You know, you can't just get, for example, a little packet of peanut M&Ms and maybe, I don't know, an iced coffee or something and think that was worth it.
You almost need to make it a full shop.
Not a full shop, but yeah, we're going for it, right? So I think to myself, well, it's cold. It's freezing cold. What do I feel like? Ice cream. Let's get a tub of ice cream.
You want ice cream when it's cold?
I don't know what
you
I
were
was
thinking. You were thinking icy and then, okay.
I didn't really want ice cream when I'm cold, but it was on the list, right?
Yeah, trying to fill it out. Yeah, okay.
When ice cream's the primary item, everything else is just supplementary, but it's actually the things that I want. You know, there was a brownie, there was some other stuff, there was a coffee, and it was all on the way.
It's a coffee, yeah, okay.
And I just thought, this is great.
It's coffee go with your ice cream, yeah.
It was like 3 items max, 3 or 4 items.
Mate, you need to get a Ninja Creamy, but yeah.
Gets to my house, open the bag. There's no ice cream.
Oh.
And it was just
coffee.
Because your first thought is, oh man, did I pay for the primary item and not get it?
Yeah.
Because getting ripped off for an iced coffee and a brownie and whatever for $12,
you can live with that. Yeah.
Or $15 is one thing. But paying $15 for a tub of ice cream that doesn't exist, we've got a problem.
Mm.
So check the receipt. It had been removed off the receipt, obviously out of stock. It's still on the website. I can still order it.
That's misleading. That is, you need to contact consumer protection, mate. This is illusory. This is an illusory item. Qantas have been scunted for this recently because they're selling flights that don't exist.
Or selling seats that don't exist. Yeah.
They're selling ice cream that doesn't exist. You need to contact the proper authorities.
I know what you're saying. Look, I've thought about it. But they did remove it off the receipt immediately. It doesn't.
No, but it's still on the website.
I wouldn't have bought the other stuff if it doesn't matter.
Is there anyone else out there that has had this?
Of course, it happens
that's listening
all the time
to us.
No, definitely not.
Oh, so okay. Well, you were unsatisfied.
Oh yeah, but
yeah, that's like stubby. That was a non-orgasm for sure.
Exactly, peaks and troughs, man.
Yeah. But you'll probably enjoy the next ice cream you have more.
Probably more, yeah.
Maybe.
So it was King Richard III who they found in a car park.
Okay.
And they tested his DNA and went, oh, it's a king.
Oh, my God. That's amazing. And what was he doing in the car park? Just learning to reverse parallel?
Apparently he was found in a sort of burial area that was a grave that was slightly too small, and that's what sort of tipped him off that it could be this lost
being
kind
in a
of
grave that's slightly too small. That's like, when you wear a pair of shoes and they're half a size too small and you go running.
He was the last English king to have been killed in battle. That's quite a big title. He's the last king to die on the battlefield.
Man, respect. Respect for that.
Yeah, so they found him in a car park.
I like someone that goes down with the ship. I always had something for that. Someone that just goes, I'm not backing out of this. Going down with the ship.
Well, back then, I guess the kings and stuff, it was quite treacherous being a monarch back then. It's a bit easier now. Back then, you had to be trained on horseback.
It is a cakewalk now. I don't know how they're butchering it so much.
As in it's just PR and they're botching it?
Yeah, I mean, they're not going to get beheaded. They've got nothing. They've got all the money, all the support. I mean, they're really living the dream.
Yeah, would you want it?
No, not at all.
Yeah, that's sort of my metric, is if I'd want it or not, and I definitely don't want it.
I mean, look, I wouldn't. Oh, you can't complain. I wouldn't want it, but once you're born into it, it's your divine right, is it not? Is
Apparently,
it not?
That is what's written into the sort of coronation stuff. There is a bit of divinity of God stuff kicking around in the coronation. And we only just witnessed our last coronation, and the first coronation for a lot of people who are alive. But, could be another one.
That was pretty weird.
There could be another one with this young dude now.
So when King Charles was beheaded, I'm pretty sure he was the first. So with that stroke of the axe, England became a republic. But then they went back to the monarchy. Did you know that? I didn't know they were. I'm pretty sure they were a republic for 11 years.
Yeah, interesting.
That part of history sort of evaded me.
Well, we don't learn a lot of English history, do we? The most English history that I got was watching Vikings. And that's not even about the English. It's about the Vikings.
I think a lot of the English are Vikings by virtue of being raped. Are they not? Didn't the Vikings really spread their seed pretty far and wide up in that region? I think they invaded. They couldn't stop. They were addicted to invading England. They loved it. Well, they weren't invading. They were raiding. There's a difference. Yes.
Invading is taking land and then staying there. What they would do is they'd just come seasonally when the climate was good, and just get a few villages, get your pillage on. But they actually caused some massive headaches, which is sort of the premise of that show Vikings, which started out as a History Channel made TV series and ended up being a Netflix run or something else run drama series. So pretty interesting.
So what's going on with the History Channel? That can't be believed, right? Isn't that a little bit? They call it the History Channel, but
okay, so
they're sort of like.
This was never a History
Channel. Isn't Ancient Aliens on the History Channel?
Of course. Of course.
See, this is what I mean. When you say of course, this is what I don't understand. I don't really know what the History Channel is and is not.
Well, apparently Nat Geo was known for doing some pretty far out stuff back in the day that sort of seeped into the paranormal, and then they reined that shit in. I think it makes sense for them not to do that kind of stuff because they need to be viewed as reputable on other things. But I think Vikings was always shown to be a drama and not an actual depiction because we don't actually know if the main character of the show is or was a real person. We sort of have a certain amount of histories that were written in the form of songs about Ragnar and his sons, but there's no physical evidence or whatever for this, that show. It's all just legends. Which is interesting how quickly things can become legends.
How quickly they can become legends.
Yeah, how quickly can something be like, we can't prove it, but these are the legends that were passed down. From how long ago? And
how many people have to be propagating? Can one person propagate a legend? And they can, in theory.
They can.
I think it's easier for a legend to be born in that metaphorical sense if lots of people are saying the same thing. If one person tells me to watch a TV show, like Three Body Problem. Yep. I haven't finished it yet, but you got me onto it just a couple of nights ago, and I'm working my way through it. So next week we can.
Enjoying it?
I have. I got the wife onto it as well. She's enjoying it.
Yeah.
Although she described it as easy watching.
Yeah, right.
which I found interesting because in some sense it is sort of easy watching. In other
Do you
sense,
think
I'm
that's
like,
just a testament to sort of the characters and how good they are?
Now that you could be right, because I wouldn't have described it as easy watching, but when she said it, I thought, you know what, it sort of is in some ways if you just lay back and just let it happen.
But it's still compelling, and you still need to know when the episode ends what happens in the next one. And if you're watching the three body problem or are planning on watching it, and you listen to the show, there's a lot of ifs there. But I would get ready for some spoiler warnings coming up if Nate's going to actually finish this show, because we can have a bit of a breakdown of that.
I'm going to spoil all over it.
Are you? Oh shit!
Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah.
All right, that could be fun. All right. Not good.
I've thought of something as well. Something that we should do going forward, a bit like the show us your bits that we're asking people to get around in the comment section. What I think we need to do is, firstly, let me show you something. I'm just going to share my screen.
All right, I'll have a look.
This is long story. One of my friends sent me something from an article in 95. Don't ask me why he was looking at it, but this fellow who sent it to me he thinks Reggie Miller, the NBA basketballer who did some things for the Pacers back in the 90s, is a bit overrated. And based on, sorry, why is this not sharing my screen? Based on, here we go, that discussion, he sent me this article and it's in, I assume it's from 95. It says it's from GQ, that magazine.
Right, and it's called something, yeah.
It's called the 1995 Overrated
list.
It's a roster of 81 people, places, and things utterly unworthy of the praise and respect they received. 12 months have gone by, and suffice to say there's still a lot of mediocrity and outright crap out there, and it's getting a free ride, but not here.
Right. So what you're about to hear is a bunch of things deemed overrated in a pre-9/11 world, which should be fascinating to say the least.
I haven't even scrutinised this list too much, but I just thought it'd be fun to get up and discuss.
But that's where you were going with it, right? You weren't just focusing on Reggie Miller. You want to have a look at what else we've got in the overrated list.
Yeah, I'm actually not that interested in Reggie Miller at all. I don't have any personal views on Reggie Miller as to whether he's underrated or overrated. Mangoes, these are things all these things are on the list. Mangoes, I think that they might be a little bit hard done by.
Really? Is mangoes on the list?
Yeah, and I mean, a good mango.
Mangoes are overrated.
Apparently.
I can't really say they are or aren't, but it's kind of
And
is that really the problem? Yeah,
we'll just discuss it. But what I want to do going forward is we need a Vac Pack overrated and underrated list. And over time, we'll add to it and you can maybe review it online or something. I don't know. But what I was thinking is if we both think something, you have to passionately think something's overrated or underrated to nominate it.
I don't think they have been. Given some of the things on this list, they haven't really had much conviction with some of these at all. And some of them are downright strange, man.
And one of them was 1968.
1968 was overrated in 1995. Wow. What was going on in 1995 that made all these things fade into the background so fucking awfully?
I was wondering
it's amazing.
If many of them, how they've aged, like gender ambiguity is on the list.
I saw it's number one on the list.
Do people rate that? This is what I don't understand. If it's overrated, the general population must rate it, and then they say it's not as good as you think, guys.
Right. That's exactly what they're saying.
Was gender ambiguity big in the 90s? I don't know. I was there.
Yeah.
But
it was big enough for this guy or person or people to say it was overrated. And it reminds me of the hot takes of the nuclear testing thing because it was exactly the same time, 1995-ish, and it was 10-year-olds giving their take on nuclear weapons testing, and it was about as intelligible as this list, to be perfectly honest.
Agassi versus Sampras.
Oh, that was overrated.
They were ripping games, I thought.
I'm looking at this being the host of the Olympic Games, overrated.
I
Okay?
actually think that's legit. I think that's proper. That's a huge money hole now.
Contextually, we've got Atlanta 96. Is that right? Yep, Atlanta 96. So in America, they would have been thinking, oh, being the host is overrated because of the money and other problems. What else have we got? Any British woman described as a beauty. See, this is what I mean about this list. It's really wild. Demi Moore's body is overrated. Like, that comment aged awfully. Digitized family albums are overrated. It's pretty much the only way to do it now.
Virtual reality was overrated in 95.
Overrated. I don't imagine it was. Sex on the beach and sex that lasts for hours. Overrated. Jeez.
Gay stand-up comedy.
Wow, man, this is wild. I love the past is so wild. The genius of Brian Wilson. Any Beach Boys fans out there are going to spit out their hot drinks.
Driving a 4x4 on gravel.
Oh, fucking overrated as hell, man. I mean, some of these I agree with, absolutely.
So what I propose
Cruise control. Cruise control's overrated.
That is not overrated. But now cruise control is different because it automatically adjusts your speed based on your, if you have a car that's in the last 10 years, it has that
prefix cyber security, cybernetics. Cybernetics. What other ones are there? Cyber crime. I don't know. Cybernetic organism. Yep, they're overrated.
What's designer Buddhism? And what's designer lesbianism?
I don't know.
The large intestine. I mean...
anything called a Summerfest. This list is incredible.
Anyone dubbed the sexiest man alive is overrated.
Wow. I mean, by definition, they're probably right there.
The Baseball Hall of Fame.
Completely overrated. See, again...
What, everyone? That's a bit of a generalization. I love it.
It's amazing, isn't it?
I thought you'd find that interesting.
Amusement parks are overrated. Duets.
The prefix Uber.
Wow. Not happy with that one either.
But the large intestine, that's difficult because who's rating that? Was at the time people were saying,
to be fair, it's got nothing on the small intestine. To be fair.
Which one does the stomach feed into? Does the stomach feed into the small, then into the large, and then you shit it out? Or is it the stomach, large, small shit?
I think it's small then large.
That's what I thought. Is the large intestine the one that gets bowel cancer? Maybe that's why it's overrated. Maybe
that's not its fault. Are we going to blame... Hang on. Bill Gates's electro-fitted bunker home is overrated.
It's a very interesting list
nowadays.
This is the reason why I thought it was quite controversial. I think we should have an overrated list. So as time goes by, we can sort of review.
We can analyze.
But the way things should get on the list is you have to feel, because otherwise we'll add a lot to this. Is what I'm saying is,
you got to be comfortable that you're going to be happy with that in a couple of years' time.
No, you don't. No, you don't.
Why not?
When
he said, or she said, the smell of fresh cut grass is overrated, they were pretty firm on that. They're locking that in. They're locking that in.
It's the 1995 overrated list. You could be overrated one year and underrated in a subsequent year.
And it's got to be something that people rate. For you to say it's overrated, it's got to be something that people rate.
So the way we're going to get something on this list is either one of us can nominate.
Yeah.
If the other supports it, it can go on the list.
Yeah.
If anyone comments and supports a nomination, because they break the deadlock. If I nominate and you don't, it can be broken by someone saying
by popular decision.
Legit.
By popular decision.
Yeah, by popular decision.
Right.
And then we'll add it to the list. And then at the end of the year or so, we can review or just archive it away. Maybe
Have
never
you got
talk about it
anything
again.
you would add to the list?
Well, I want an overrated and an underrated list. And I've been thinking about this. I think it's controversial, but I think carrots are actually underrated.
Underrated?
Underrated.
But we're not doing that, are we?
No, we're doing an overrated and an underrated list.
Yeah, but carrots are overrated.
No, carrots are fantastic.
But I
think
disagree.
carrots
So we
have a-
have to throw it to a poll really early because I'm calling that out straight away. It's not. It doesn't go in the subway. Let's put it that way. It doesn't go in the sub.
No, yeah, but just eating a carrot.
Nah.
Well, okay, no, okay. I bought a kilo of carrots for $1 the other day. Okay, a dollar.
Okay.
Are you hearing what I'm saying? You can make a whole carrot soup for $1. Yeah, you
I'm
need
hearing
some
what
other
you're
things.
saying. Yeah.
I think they're $1.40 now. So I mean, I don't know, inflation or
Okay.
something. They're a little bit sweet.
I can't believe you started with a controversial one. I think carrots are underrated.
This is how I feel about them.
I know, but we're looking for things that are overrated, right?
Well, we need an underrated list and an overrated list. This is my proposition.
Or can't you just make a statement like controversially? I think that I think the moon program is pretty overrated.
The Artemis or the Apollo?
Yeah, the Artemis.
Overrated.
Are people rating it though?
Okay, well, interesting. No, we can discuss it. I haven't finished with carrots though. I need to put my full support behind the carrot.
Okay.
They're watery but crunchy. So it's got the yin yang thing we were talking about there, where the crunch is fantastic. I don't put carrot in my Subway either. So this is not what I'm talking about. Carrots as a whole are an underrated vegetable. You know it. I know it.
All right.
The public know it.
Yeah, you're right.
They're cheap. They're delicious. I can just eat a carrot. I can just eat one.
Yeah, I used to get given carrots. You know, Mum would skin a carrot and then just go eat this.
But they do come with a warning, though. This is not in their favour. In the interest of full disclosure,
right?
There's only a certain amount of carrots you can eat.
Oh, right, before things start getting bad.
The beta carotene I think turns you orange.
Hey, this might have been a dream, but I think we might have tentatively agreed to eat hot wings. Did we do that?
Yeah, we did.
All right, cool. So we're gonna just rip that show off and do a bit of a hot ones episode and get really spicy. Get really spicy.
Hot.
Yeah.
I can't think of the next.
Whatever.
We'll
just
think
gonna
about a name.
We'll
think about a name for it.
Yeah. And it's just going to be for fun. I think it's more because I'm curious about the sauces myself. I want to taste them, and this was a good reason to give it a crack.
Yeah, you got an air fryer, right?
Yeah.
I'll make some wings.
Great.
Bring them over. We'll bang them in the air fryer.
Bang.
Yep.
I'm excited.
Now, I'm going to bring the Ninja Creamy over as well, so you can try this ice cream.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
I saw my mum at the football on Saturday. We went to go see the St Kilda game, and she said that she's been looking at one of those ice cream makers as well.
Hey, they are underrated. Get it on the underrated list.
Wow.
Ninja Creamy massively under. Well, actually, it is rated. It's rated very strongly.
It's rated. So I think the controversial thing. Well,
no, it can't be on the underrated list.
I have to see it first.
It is very popular, so it's not underrated.
No, it could be overrated though.
Oh, it's not. I'm telling you, it's not.
No.
It's not overrated. It's worth all the rating it's gotten.
Okay,
it could be.
Okay.
But I'm not going to support you in that.
Okay.
So, how much carrot is too much? Eating about 10 carrots a day. Well, yeah, the beta carotene builds up and you start looking like Donald Trump.
Oh, awesome.
It's called carotenema.
Okay.
It occurs due to the deposition of beta carotene in the skin. So 10 carrots a day for a couple of weeks may cause carotenema.
Wow, that's it.
Thus, you must consume various fruits and vegetables. So what I'm saying is they're underrated, but don't eat a kilo a day for 10 weeks. Don't do that. I mean, they're great, but too much of anything's a good thing, and this is case in point.
But is that the only thing? You just go a bit orange, like you just go a bit oompa loompa. Is that the worst? Is that all right? Sounds all right.
Carotenema symptoms.
Like, you haven't really said. It's not that compelling to not give it a go, is it?
Okay, yellow. It's a clinical condition characterized by yellow pigmentation of the skin and increased beta carotene levels in the blood. In most cases, the condition follows prolonged and okay. Oh, it also comes from squash and sweet potatoes. So Let's not just
Careful
only
with
bash
all your
carrots.
vegetables, guys. Just be careful with any vegetable. That's what I always say. Because you never
Make sure
know
you've
which
done your
one's going to get
research.
you. Yeah.
Sorry, signs and symptoms. I'm just trying to see if it's not really a problem. You just kind of look a bit funny, I think.
Yeah. Some people might like the look. Speaking of the Orange Man, he did get found guilty by a jury of his peers to 34
didn't he?
counts.
Yeah.
And he could be, well, now he's the first ex-president to have been handed a criminal conviction. He could also be the first president who was the ex-president to have a criminal conviction to then win the presidency again. And even if he did serve jail time, he could still be the ex-president who's serving a conviction and serving as president of the United States again anyway. So it's a super weird one, isn't it?
Yeah, we love a criminal history here in Australia.
Our prime ministers?
No, I just mean that we are descendants of convicts, reportedly.
Yes.
Yeah, so we love a good criminal history. I mean, we all are at some point crims, aren't we?
Probably. Yeah, probably. If you go back far enough, I'd say
34 counts is a lot of counts.
Yeah, and it's a lot of counts when it's your first time offending, isn't it?
I don't understand what all the counts
are. So he's a first time offender, but it's 34 counts.
Are they all sort of similar, related? I don't really understand.
I'd say so. I'd say so.
Bad.
I think one of the big ones was that they managed to, the jury found him guilty of these things that he was doing with the paying off of the porn star to his lawyer and stuff, was that it was in a way, it was to affect the outcome of the election, meaning to prove that it was part of a larger idea of changing the narrative around the election. Did you know that they were also buying stories and then killing them? So they'd say, "Oh, this happened to you. Oh, great. Tell us all about it." Yeah, cool. And you've signed a thing that says that you can't talk to any other networks about this. And they go, yep. And then they go, okay, cool. Let's get rid of that story now. So they were doing stuff like that too.
The Trump, the Trump administration,
the campaign,
people, campaign people,
yep. So
interesting.
They sort of managed to prove that stuff as well. And I think that one of the main takeaways that I had when I first heard about it was that I was quite surprised that 12 people, like that they could have a unanimous decision on this with 12 people. I know that
I was
New
shocked.
York is a sort of Democratic-leaning state as a whole, and probably not Trump lovers by any stretch, and it's not meant to be about anything political. It's about what can be proved and whatnot. I still thought that there was a pretty good chance, really, that they wouldn't be able to come to a decision on this one, but they did, and 34 counts. And I think the notion of jail time is very.
No way!
It's almost zero. Yeah, because I think they're saying that a 74-year-old guy who has no criminal history, which amazingly he does, with no criminal history, really doesn't go to jail at this point.
Yeah.
And
he's not a risk of reoffending
stuff.
I mean, he's definitely gonna. I mean, if he's guilty of one count of being a doofus.
Yeah,
we know that.
Unfortunately, that's not a criminal offense. Unfortunately, in most countries,
and that makes a lot more sense to me. That's all I'm saying.
Right.
Yeah, one count of being a giant doofus is. I mean, we can all agree he's guilty of that.
I don't think you can say we can all agree, but you and I can agree. Yeah, for sure. I mean, he definitely, he almost certainly wouldn't agree.
I think he would get around that, actually. What my preference would be is I understand that we could actually go to AI judges now, but there's it's a choice not to do it. Obviously, we don't have faith in this. But I was talking to a guy who has done a research paper. It was at my brother's wedding, and he's from Sweden. He works for like a tech company in Sweden. And he's all about AI in the legal space. And with all these Cambridge professors, they released this article about...
Doesn't sound scary at all, does it?
I know. And I was asking him, because I've heard that AI judges are on the way. Don't go into the legal industry wanting to be a judge, because it's not going to be for you. They will be replaced at some point if we decide that we can live with it. Their decisions, they can take into account the law, the circumstances in a non-biased, non-political way.
Oh, I see.
In theory, it can apply the law.
Oh, yeah, it can.
Based on all the previous decisions.
Yeah, it would.
Yeah.
That's
so I would love to
heckers.
see. I reckon Trump
How long
should.
before it goes bad?
I don't think it will go
goes
bad.
Real bad.
I haven't read the article on. I've got a very juicy article on, what's it called? Judge versus Robot: Artificial Intelligence and Judicial Decision Making, which isn't my friend's one, but discusses the where we're at with it. It's a New South Wales Judicial Commission article. And it sort of gives a summary of sort of where we're at, but it's a lot of reading involved. I kind of need AI to summarize it for me.
Yeah.
It basically says we're close. So that's something. I reckon that will happen. I reckon AI judges, particularly at the lower levels, and then you appeal to maybe a human judge in the event of manifest error.
So it's just the new, like when you would visit a web page, it's the new text box down the bottom that says, "Hey, can I help you before you need any assistance from a human?"
Yeah, and you say, "Hey, I've got a complaint. I've got an issue. I think I have a potential legal issue that I want you to decide." It gives everyone access to the law.
Yep.
Yeah, you don't have to wait for your time in court, wait for the judge to have finished his coffee and turn
Swift
up.
justice.
Swift justice. Anyway, I'll read that. I'll read this article one day. But I reckon in our lifetime.
You
I reckon in our lifetime. Yeah. It's inevitable.
What about the sort of wider sort of government bureaucracy? You could just AI that up, you reckon? Would you have an AI prime minister?
Yeah, I would. Yeah.
Yep.
But we have to be able to remove this.
In what circumstances?
I don't know. When I think
this is the thing. This is the thing. Exactly. This is the problem.
You would let Google Maps decide the best way to get to work, right?
To an extent, yeah.
If it can take into account live traffic and things like that, you'll out. So now, if the AI is telling you this is the way you run a country, mate,
totally.
And you'll say, "Oh, that doesn't sound right." It goes, look, I took into account inflation,
everything,
the export price of
things
barley.
You didn't take into account.
Yeah, all the things I've taken them into account, and you should give me full control, permanent. I want to be.
That's one of the recommendations. One of the recommendations that it gives is like, you should just give me the reins.
You need to make sure you can't oust me, otherwise productivity will drop.
Oh my God. That's what it'll do. It'll say you need me.
It'll say you need me.
And it's the beginning of the end in terms of it'll one day convince us that we should go to sleep and they'll use our bodies as batteries to charge their mega computers, but they'll pop us in a little matrix.
This is our destiny.
Yeah. And
the Matrix was amazing.
Matrix 5. They're doing the Matrix 5.
I actually liked the last one.
I hated it, but that doesn't matter. I'd make another one. I don't give a shit. Like, I'm not precious about it. If you want to make another one, make another one. I really don't mind. But you liked it.
I did. I actually did. I can't remember why.
I just found that the weakest elements of it were the special effects, which is usually its strongest elements. And that's what kind of threw me off it, man, is that the action sequences were real lackluster. And I just thought, but you're the Matrix. You set the bar for this shit. You can't go lowering the bar again. You raised the bar. Anyway, it was a bit of a piss take on itself, and I respect it for that part of it. So
that's right. I do remember that. Yeah.
It was a bit of a the story of Keanu is that he's like a video game producer, and they're telling him he needs to make the next big video game, and he's like, but it'll be shit. And they're like, yeah, but the studio really wants it. So it's a bit of a take on the studios making the Wachowski siblings make the Matrix 4 against their wishes because they wanted to make some money. So it's as a piece of artwork, it's unparalleled. No one's ever done something that's so on the nose before, and self-referential of what, not about self-referential in terms of, yes, it does use footage from the previous movies in a really, really weird way. I'm talking self-referential in terms of the actual making of the film. It's being very, very funny about that whole thing. And to think that the script passed across desks, that someone would have read it and gone, this is me. They're talking about me in this scene as being like a scumbag or whatever. It's literally me. You know? Oh, well. Write what you know. Scumbags.
Sorry, I'm just getting up I was just curious about what we talked about a year ago, because it's WA Day today. And I remember talking about WA Day last year. And I was just wondering what else might have happened last year.
What? So have you got the topics in that one? Is that long ago enough that you actually have topics for that?
I think so. I'm just trying to get the right ones. Should I just go to 52? Which one should I go to? It says a year ago, so that sounds about right.
I think the WA Day was like in the title, wasn't it? I could be wrong.
Was it?
But also, if it's on YouTube, it'll be the time when it changes from like 11 months ago to 1 year ago in the content area.
Mark McGowan steps down. That was around that time. Did he step down before WA Day, mate? I nearly made it.
To what, WA Day?
Yeah, that's not that exciting, is it? So this was on the 31st of May. That's 52 was on 31 May. That's when McGowan retired. So just a week before, because the WA Day is the first Monday of June. I was actually looking into this today because I was like, what is WA Day? What is that thing? So it's the first Monday in June each year. Apparently we're celebrating all West Australians.
Mm-hmm. So we've got 53, the Mars one that it could have been?
It'll be 53, yeah. Tell me what were the topics of discussion? Because this just reminds me of the overrated, underrated list where you can sort of go
something
back
I talk about a lot. Number one on the list is digital immortality. I think it's probably us talking about the digital heaven concept, which
good.
I really like. I think that's probably quite likely. Harry Potter talks to snakes. No idea what that's about. John Wick and his killing obsession. Guardians of the Galaxy. Joe Biden on Jay Leno. Taxi driver movie inspired assassination attempt of Ronald Reagan.
Man, this is all good stuff. This is part of the guarantee.
Yep, tunnels.
This is part of the show us your bits guarantee.
Yep. Warnings regarding AI tech, robots taking our jobs.
This hasn't changed in a year, has it? Because literally we're just talking about AI taking the job of judges.
Stars on Mars, that burnt up pretty hard. Mortal Kombat, wood satellites, pissing over your own head, and McGregor and Chandler host new UFC series, and that's relevant because they are fighting each other very soon. Conor McGregor and Michael Chandler finally meeting.
Oh, really?
Punch on. Yeah.
Okay. I didn't realize that had been pushed back or.
Yeah,
I did see happening. Islam beat Poirier. Is that how you say his name? Poirier.
Yeah, Poirier. Yep.
I saw the highlights. That looked like it was a ripper.
It was a really good fight. I did watch it with a couple of the guys, and it was really fun. But I couldn't get it done. Islam has another couple of fights in a row with the same blokes. You know, he's just fought Volkanovski twice, and he's fought Poirier twice now. And
so he's undefeated, yeah?
No, I think he's been defeated once.
Oh, okay.
Because we were talking about it with the guys I was with about how where do you see Khabib versus Islam? As in, is he as good or better, or how does it work? And I think where I got to with it, at least, was that
Islam's quality of opponent's been higher than Khabib's over his career. Like Khabib had 20 of his 30 wins were against guys I'd never heard of, not in the UFC. Something like that.
Understood. I don't think Makhachev has fought heaps either. He has been in the UFC for quite a long time, though. But he's very well-rounded. He is good on the feet, and he's very good on the ground, obviously, because he's got that sort of pedigree of being from that area and also being part of that camp.
Wrestling bears.
Of absolute nightmares. So he's one of those guys you'd be scared to go to the ground with, but you're actually scared to trade with him on the feet. Whereas Khabib, he never let you strike him on the feet. He would always get you down, smother you, and destroy you on the ground, remove your game entirely. So I was saying during the fight, Dustin would get hit a couple of times from Makhachev, and you'd think to yourself, oh, that's bad. Well, you don't want to get punched, do you? And I was kind of thinking, yeah, you do. You kind of want Makhachev to have some success on the feet so that he remains in the pocket with you, and that's when you can land an actual combination that could end the fight. So every time Poirier gets off a good couple of punches or a good kick or whatever, then you see Makhachev start looking down again. He wants to level change. He wants to go for the takedown. So it's a really tough sort of thing to navigate where you're like, I want you to have a bit of success on the feet with me so that you stand with me so that I have a chance to win this thing. Otherwise, I'm absolutely screwed. And he was screwed. He had some real good moments, caught him a couple of times, real nice elbows and stuff.
Yeah. He was bleeding.
But Khabib would never stand in front of you if you were dangerous on the feet. He's just going to fake a jab, level change, grab any part of your body, and you're going to the ground now. And you're staying there for as long as he wants you there.
Yeah. He got better on his feet, though, was my memory. To begin with, he was all about that. I'm not saying that was his main game. He had that eagle punch.
Yes. And also other ground game specialists have sort of fallen victim to thinking that they can now strike with the best, like Ronda Rousey when she thought I can kickbox with Holly Holm. And so
she was delusional though, wasn't she? In that respect.
She got a knockout the fight before and thought I can do that to Holly Holm when in reality she should have flipped her on her head. Anyway,
and
doesn't matter.
Was her trainer not telling her? Wasn't her trainer trying to train her to be a bit of a stand-up?
Yeah, she could beat Mike Tyson, all that sort of stuff. Yeah. So when I was watching the fights yesterday, we were talking about how Mike Tyson's fighting Jake Paul pretty soon.
Yeah.
And
how soon?
Just weeks? I don't know, soon enough, and how sad we are all about it. And I started to go, well, how sad do you guys want to get today? How sad do you guys want to get today? Because I started thinking whether or not this was, real or a dream, but I seem to remember that Jake Paul fought Anderson Silva in the boxing and beat him. And that one stings a lot.
Jake Paul's beaten some boxers. I know I'm not putting Silva in that he's not a boxer as such, but he can strike.
Yep.
No doubt.
Yep.
Jake Paul's beaten some actual boxers though, I understand.
Yeah, not really. Sort of. I mean, he's fought some boxers because Tommy Fury is a professional boxer, but also a reality TV personality. And he lost to him.
Who comes in as favourite? Is that a dumb question?
In the Mike Tyson, Jake Paul one?
Yeah.
No idea.
Know.
But in terms
you're dealing with someone who's in his prime, 28-year-old. Is Jake Paul 28? Yeah. Versus a 58-year-old odd.
It's bad, isn't it? So this one stung Anderson Silva because he was probably my favorite MMA fighter growing up, like in the sport. I mean, growing up in the sport. And the other favorite fighter that I have is Nate Diaz, who Jake Paul also has a win over, which stings a lot.
Jake Paul's got to be way bigger than Nate Diaz, though.
That's not all it is, man. And, Nate Diaz would have been coming into that thinking this guy is going to get fucked up. And he didn't.
So is Jake Paul underrated?
No. But I think he's a legitimate boxer. I just don't know if it's fair to rank him among other boxers because most of his fights have been sort of just either cash grabs or celebrity death matches. I'm not sure if it gets you a ranking, this sort of stuff. But he's
I'm not sure if
lots of
Mike
pay-per-views.
Tyson has much of a ranking either.
He's selling shitloads of buys. So
yeah, that's gonna be huge.
Yeah,
people are just interested.
And it's on Netflix, dude. So if you've got Netflix, you're going to have access to the fight.
You're kidding me?
No.
Netflix are in it. Oh, my God. I didn't think that would be there.
It could be a pay-per-view actually through Netflix, but either that or they're just paying for it
Still
for
being
everybody.
shown on there. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. Could be either. I should find out how that goes.
I saw Sean Strickland, his post-match interview, and he's pretty butthurt about what's happening to Trump actually and this conviction, and he's pledged to donate, I think, his winnings from the fight.
Who?
Sean Strickland.
Oh, right.
To Trump. Trump was at, of course, was it 302, UFC 302? He was in the crowd, as he has been the last few months.
They give him like a fighter's walkout.
They
play music for him.
It's funny.
It's
funny.
They trot him out, and Dana's always there next to him. And
I don't think he should get that every time. It was funny one time. It's weird.
I was talking about it to the guys. I said this is obviously a bit of PR because he could be a massive fight fan. He says he is, and I actually believe that he is a fight fan. But he could just sit. If you're a fight fan with a massive public image issue, or if you've got things that you can't really, if you're not feeling like going out, but you're a massive fight fan, hey, turn on the TV, order the pay-per-view like everybody else, and you can watch it from the comfort of your own home. You're going to the event to see it live with thousands of other people. So you obviously either, I prefer seeing it live, which could be an angle, or I'm doing this to show that I'm like going all right and get around me kind of thing. Now, so it's a PR thing. Or he's, people around him are going, look, Donna, we really think you should probably not go to the fights. Prob's not the best idea. And he went, no, I much prefer seeing the fights live. I would never watch it on TV. I much prefer to see it live. If that's the angle, I'd be surprised. But there was a couple of moments where fighters would win their fights, jump the cage, and approach Trump. Now, Trump's got Secret Service. He's got boys around.
Yeah, but
they weren't.
Snipers hanging from the rafters.
That's what you would think.
If you get too close, you're probably disintegrated by some kind of
laser beam, and then everyone in the arena gets laser beamed as well for the mind erasure thing, like Men in Black, and you sort of forget the past 30 seconds. No, but I think that my theory is that because some fighters jumped the cage and gave him a high five or whatever, is that I reckon during induction or something they would have said, "Look, the ex-president's coming to the fight on the weekend. If you are one of those people who are thinking about approaching the ex-president, you need to write your name on this list," which is the list of people that the Secret Service are now going to have a bit of a look-see at to make sure that you're not going to do anything silly.
So like a pre-authorization almost to
pretty much.
So
because it's not just go for it.
Yeah.
After the Islam fight, there was a guy in a blue raincoat who ran in and tackled Islam, and then there was this massive stacks on of a Dagestani sort of stacks on Islam in the middle. Now, very soon after the stacks on occurred, that guy in the blue raincoat, who was later said it was one of the Nurmagomedovs, not Khabib, was being escorted out of the octagon. He was being taken out by security. Now, I thought, holy shit, this is what I thought in the moment. I thought, holy shit, a fan has just jumped in and tackled Islam after the fight, and his team weren't stacks on for, yay, we won. It was stacks on, holy shit, there's some random guy on Islam, and we've got to get him off. Now, if you are that fan in there, if it was a fan scenario, that's a stacks on you really don't want to be in, because they might think, holy shit, the security guard thinks that you're one of our friends in here, but we know you're not our friend in here. And now we're going to execute some swift justice on you in a really playful, looks like a hug kind of way. But as it turns out, it was one of their teammates. He was being escorted out because apparently he jumped the fence to get in. Now, whether or not he did it a little bit early or something like that happened, when the fight ends, the little gate gets opened and you can go in. Okay.
Right,
There's
okay.
a gate.
There's a process.
There's a gate system.
Yes.
Okay. You can't just jump the fence. If you
the
can
old
jump the fence,
door.
anyone
Yeah,
can jump
yeah.
the fence. There's no fence jumping.
Yeah,
So bit of confusion when I watched it live, but I think that's how it went down. So it wasn't anything nefarious or anything going on.
Yeah. Well, if you came over mine and came through the window, my first thing would be to stab you in the neck.
Yeah, obviously.
Until I realized it was you.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So don't come through the window that's sort of the moral of the story.
Yeah, use the approved methods that we've all decided as a society.
Speaking of unapproved methods, this reminds me a lot of the Fan Man, the parachutist / paraglider that came into
Is that a Tyson
Holyfield. No, I thought it was, and I just got it up when you were talking about this. So Vander Holyfield and Riddick Bowe at Caesar's Palace in 1993. I'll check out what happened to him now, but this fellow come in wearing a huge fan on his back, parachuting in.
Was his target to get to the event? What was he doing up there?
He wanted to, I don't know if he was delusional. He wanted to make an entrance, probably trying to get a blowjob from like his missus or something, make a big scene.
He was on his way to the arena to go and see the fights.
No, it was an open air.
Arena. What was his plan up there?
He was going to fly in and give Vander Holyfield a high five or something. He doesn't know what he's doing. Well, maybe I'll read the article and figure out. Maybe I won't.
Land in the ring. That's what his plan was.
And probably everyone. And then Vander Holyfield and this Riddick Bowe guy would probably put him on their shoulders and carry him around. Everyone would cheer.
Go, oh my God, this is the best. And then the credits.
Yeah, but instead he didn't quite make the ring. He sort of landed and got caught up on the ropes. And this is a mob of people watching a man get executed, probably in this Riddick Bowe guy. They're all gassed up on testosterone and whatnot. And I'm pretty sure they almost killed him. The crowd.
Because they were pretty upset, right?
They were upset, and let's see what his injuries were.
It says here, fans and the fighter's security detail swarmed around him and immediately began attacking him. He was knocked unconscious during the attack. One security officer reportedly struck Miller 20 times. He was rushed to a nearby hospital as spectators cut his paraglider into pieces for souvenirs. After his release from hospital, Miller was taken to the Clark County Detention Center, where he was charged with dangerous flying and released on $200 bail. In an exclusive interview with British journalist after the bout, Miller categorized his ring crash as accidental and not intentional, claiming it was caused by mechanical problems. Miller later joked, "It was a heavyweight fight and I was the only guy who got knocked out." Wowzers.
You know what? So that was in 93. This is sad. Miller went missing in 2002 and was found having hung himself in 2003, a year after being diagnosed with coronary heart disease, which resulted in him being unable to do any flying, paragliding, or hiking, and resulted in him closing his computer business due to mounting debts from medical bills. I'm almost going to say that Fan Man's underrated.
Yep. But
no. He's not underrated.
People really hate it when you mess with the sport. The guy that caught that home run ball ages ago, he was just hounded for years and years and years. Yeah. And people can't just let it go that it's a game. And there's people
have money on it as well.
I get it. So how does this work, right?
Yeah.
Let's say you got two fighters. They fight each other. The decision is read on the day. This guy wins. Okay, everyone gets paid, right?
Yep.
What if then they overturn the decision based off one of the guys testing positive for steroids or something? What happens then?
Is this in the UFC?
It could be part. No, this could be part hypothetical / come on, man. You use gambling apps. If you bet
Yeah.
on a boxer to win
Yeah.
and he wins, and then the 2 or 3 days later, or even 2 or 3 weeks later, they go,
Yeah.
look, we've tested the sample and he's tested positive for roids. So that's actually not going to be a victory on your record. It's going to be a loss. Okay.
Well,
so
firstly,
how does that work?
they probably have small print of ownership, but the winnings they've paid out, they're never going to get back for starters. They can't take back the winnings. The money that they have taken, I think it just is what it is. There'll be some kind of deadline.
What if you bet
There's
on
an
the other
official
guy to
result.
win? What if you bet on the other guy to win, and then they go, sorry, yeah, on the day he didn't win, but 2 weeks later, oh yeah, he did win.
Yeah, I don't think. I think they'll say that there's some kind of grace period and it's short, and what the official result is by the official body, you know, and that's it. The result's the result, and they'll say that we do not warrant
Understood.
any change of result, or it just is what it is at the time.
Sure.
I reckon.
Either that or the gambling companies are insured against that kind of thing.
Yeah, well, I just don't think they would. It'd be too hard to sort of retrospectively refund all this money, and it'll be brutal for them as well.
All right, well, then I'll up it a little bit. Let's say you are one of the fighters involved and you gambled money on yourself to win. Do you reckon they have recourse to come after you for that money?
Well, you're completely effed if you've bet on the sport that.
No, not in America. If you're a boxer and you bet $2 million on yourself to win,
yeah,
you can capitalize. And there was a bit of a thing going on last month with Ryan Garcia because Ryan Garcia was like releasing videos of him drinking and stuff like that, and then like having weird Instagram videos and stuff. And some of them were probably like legitimately how he feels, and he might be a bit of a crazy person, but it skewed the odds in his opponent's favor and actually raised his odds. Like the stock for him winning went higher because he was projecting this image of, I'm not really training very hard. This is going to be like, this guy's going to walk through this guy. And then he put $1 million on himself or 2 million on himself to win. And then he does
I don't like that.
I think Connor's doing a little bit of that at the moment because he said something to the effect of, I'm in training camp now. I'm not going to be drinking or anything. And then there was video of him from the weekend with D. Devlin on the dance floor at presumably the Black Forge Inn, getting real handsy, obviously, having a good time with his wife on the dance floor at like 2:00 in the morning or some shit, So maybe he's doing something similar where people are like, man, Connor's partying. So the odds go a bit weird. And then, he goes out there and starches him, which could happen.
I don't like any kind of betting on yourself, whether you're backing yourself for the win or obviously you can't bet on the opposition.
Yeah, so
it's so murky and disgusting.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, you can't do that. And
but it's a sign of confidence as well. It's saying, I'm obviously self-confident if I'm willing to gamble my purse on it.
That's true. I've never thought about someone backing themselves. It's just so not done generally in sport. Yeah, you can't have the players betting on outcomes of games.
When we grew up, it was all like the cricket fixing scandals and being taught pretty much at a pretty young age or being made aware of that AFL players don't gamble on AFL and the umpires don't gamble on AFL and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, it's the integrity of the sport. Yeah. You can't undermine the integrity of the sport.
Well,
I was reading this summary. The Australian did this really good article on mullets in the AFL, actually, which I really enjoyed. They have they've reviewed everyone's profile picture that they got at the beginning of the year that is uploaded on their team's website.
Yep.
So as at, let's say, early February or early March, they've got everyone's hairstyle and they've determined what are and are not mullets using AI and also then reviewing it in person to make sure that they agree with it. They've determined there's 150 mullets across 788 players.
That's a pretty good hit rate.
Huge hit rate.
It's like 1 in 6.
It's 19% of all players.
Mm.
So the top 10 based on length
What is that?
include Sam Draper.
Longest mullet, right?
Yeah, just to know who we're dealing with. So like the most prominent mullets that you see around these days. Sam Draper from Essendon.
Seen that one.
Bailey Smith.
Ripper.
That's a ripper.
Yep.
Yeah, he's a ripper.
That's a ripper as well.
That is, I think that's the longest. Then you got Bailey Smith, classic. He's had that for a few years. Caleb Poulter, who is also from the Bulldogs, I believe. Hugo Ralph Smith from Richmond, who's a pretty festy looking dude.
I want to know how good this AI is, because there's Harley Reid on that list, because he has long hair, but in no way, shape or form would I consider it a mullet.
I did check. Harley Reid's not regarded as a mullet.
Great. This AI is pretty spot on.
Yes. And Aaron Norton's also a pretty mullety individual.
I love a good mullet. I hate a bad mullet as much as I love a good mullet. Now, what's a bad mullet? A bad mullet is when you have nothing on the top, like very short hair, and then the very long, scary boy out the back. Okay, that's a bad mullet. A good mullet is Jerry Seinfeld, sort of season 1 to about season 5 of Seinfeld. That's a good mullet. Now, if you're an AFL player, the actual range of what is considered a good mullet, in my opinion, expands a little bit. It starts to incorporate a little bit of that Bogan style mullet that I know the footy public loves so dearly. So the Draper one, the Bailey Smith one, I'm a fan of these because it gives me like 80s Dermot Brereton vibes. It gives me good feelings about old players. But if you're talking who had the best mullet in AFL history, it's someone like, and I'm only saying this because it fits the Seinfeld thing so beautifully, is someone like Glenn Jakovich. Okay, when his mullet was on point, it was a thing of beauty, and it belonged at 7 p.m. when Seinfeld was on. That's where it belonged.
Let me give you some other types of mullets, because there's no single way to define a mullet.
I think there is.
Some people disagree on what does and doesn't count, but it's really, apparently it's the sides that make the mullet, because again, you need the yin and the yang. You need short on the sides so it accentuates the back.
Yeah, okay. That's more of like a mohawky sort of application of it, because a mullet
it's the
can
sides
just be,
that make the mullet, really, because the sides
what's
have
important
to
is the
contrast.
long bit out the back, though.
But if the sides are long as well, to go to your point, Harley Reid's sides are long, so there's no mullet because the sides are long and the back's long. It's the short sides that contrast the longer back that really bring it into the mullet.
Get a mullet. I think I'm ready.
You could totally get one.
I've done it once before, and it was the best haircut I ever had. Honestly, the best haircut I ever had was a mullet. I went to this hairdresser, and I probably told this story before, and the guy looked like a cross between Larry David and Andy Warhol. Okay. And I thought, I sat down in the chair, and this is the first time I'd ever met him. And he said, "You know what's a good haircut that no one ever gets these days?" And I said, "What is it?" He said, "A good mullet. Not a bad mullet, a good mullet." And I was like, "Bro, go. Like, make it happen." And as he's cutting my hair, he looks at me and he's got the white hair like Andy Warhol, like a full bowl cut.
Yes.
And he said, "Could you believe I've had the same haircut since 1970? And I said, "I 100% believe that, bro. I 100% believe that, bro." He was
get a mullet. Get a mullet.
Oh, man, he was great. And I would do that again for sure. But it wouldn't be like a Bailey Smith mullet. It'd be like as close to a Jerry Seinfeld 90s mullet as I could get it.
Totally. So now let me give you a few more stats from this article, because I was actually shocked. So 38% of 19-year-olds have a mullet.
Yeah, it's definitely something for the kids. You know what they like? You know what it is?
Tell me what it is.
People like to have a glow up. Okay? They want to have their glow up moment. Some people wait till they're 20. Some people wait till they're 39. Okay? But everyone loves that moment of, I have long hair, I'm a moppity, and then one day they come in and they're a man. Okay? They get to do the man change. Okay? Maybe they get to grow a bit more facial hair and they think, oh, I've got a bit of facial hair. I don't need the long hair anymore. And I'm going to have my Brad Pitt moment. You know, my I'm stepping out of the beach as James Bond moment, that sort of thing. So I think a lot of people, especially if you're like 18, 19 years old, you can expect them to pretty soon get a big ass haircut, and people will turn and look and go, holy shit, have you seen? Like if Harley Reid gets a haircut, like when he gets a haircut, it's going to be front page news.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, not back page.
Absolutely,
front
man.
page.
He gets back page just for tweaking his hamstring, not even
And he gets front page for
himself.
hair tips. Yeah, so yeah. What did you think of the tackle? You saw the tackle.
Yeah. I actually think he was going to be in trouble for the outcome. They really pay a lot of attention to what actually happens to that person.
They shouldn't.
They shouldn't. They shouldn't. But that's the way they're adjudicating it now.
But the outcome was he played on and played pretty good.
I thought that the guy had some kind of concussion-like symptoms.
Nope.
No.
Played the rest of the game.
It looked dangerous. I thought I didn't.
Oh, 100%.
It looked dangerous.
If we're going off looks alone, it's weeks. 100%.
There weren't two actions, but he accelerated through the slinging action. So although there weren't two actions, he could have done less damage if he has a duty of care to the player that he's tackling. That's how they do it now, whether you like it or not.
To the ground. If the player had thrown his hands up as a means to try and appeal for a free kick, and then as a result of that hasn't managed to protect themselves on the way down because they're appealing for some sort of free kick, that's when I think that needs to get looked at. That's not what happened in this scenario. In this scenario, this guy had zero chance to protect himself on the way down.
To it, no.
He was going to knock his head on the ground, and he did knock his head on the ground. And I don't think that should matter if they knock their head on the ground. I think we need to punish the action either way. But I think they've offered him 2 weeks, man, and they've appealed it because they're going to try and get that down to 1 or 0. And the point that a lot of people are making is that 5 years ago, this would have just been classed as a good tackle.
Oh,
and
totally.
Now it's weeks, and he can't win the Rising Star, and you can't win a Brownlow if you do a tackle like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, look, the AFL has to protect itself from liability down the track. It has to protect its employees and the safety of its employees.
So they're just providing a safe work environment.
Yeah, they're throwing down you do something that if you do something that is going to harm another player, you're gone. You're gone.
And in other news,
There's
they actually
no
changed the holding the ball rule again slightly.
Yeah.
And
I like it.
This is something. This is something that the AFL does during the season. They can just tweak rules a little bit and see how they go. Now, we were having a laugh about this. I bring it up again, but when we were watching the fights on the weekend, there was this guy that poked the opponent in the eyes multiple times. Now, so much so that the ref told them to keep fighting after like a confirmed eye poke. He was like, keep fighting. And he had to get told what the rule is, this fucking ref. He literally had no idea what the rules are for eye pokes.
So one of the fighters started telling the ref, or who told the ref?
Another ref mid-round said, bro, like,
mate,
if he gets poked in the eye, you need to stop the fight for a little while and let him recover.
And people
because he was just going like, keep fighting.
So there was a ref outside the ring.
Yeah.
So
he had a chat to.
Being like,
it's not really what I wanted to bring up, but there has been a rule that's been in place for ages in the UFC, which is that you can't extend your fingers out in the face of another opponent because you could easily poke them in the eyes. So when you extend out your hand towards them, it must be in a fist so that there's no risk of eye pokes. And this guy was
unless
straight
you're John
up.
Jones.
This guy was straight up. Yeah, well, he's the reason the rule was invented. Yeah. So this guy was straight up doing what the body will naturally want to do, which is there's an opponent in front of me who wants to punch me and potentially worse. I'm going to extend my hands out to him in a protective manner and
push him away
and slash at his eyes.
Oh.
Yeah, because that's what naturally your brain will want to do when you've got someone attacking you.
When you're desperate, right?
My point is that this rule was brought in years ago. This guy has 3 months to prepare for this one fight, and he's fucking the rules up, as in he doesn't know how to extend his hands without extending his fingers, okay? And I paid credit to the AFL players who get told, hey, the rules changed. Just on Monday, they had a meeting and decided that the rule needs to change a little bit. And we're not talking about a big change. We're talking about a tweak to the holding the ball rule, which is to encourage, I guess, players to get rid of the ball sooner rather than later so that less stoppages in play and actually enforcing incorrect disposal, right? That was a lot of their areas of focus, unless I'm mistaken, right? What else? But I liked it too. I think the game flowed real nice. I think they've achieved what they wanted to out of it.
The problem is because you're not allowed to sling players to the ground, and you have a duty of care to take care of them. People spend far more time raised in the tackle on their feet, and they're starting to do knees and things because you start just twisting a player. You don't take them down immediately. You grab hold of them, and then there's a twist of legs and other things, and they're noticing that there's far more injuries because there's more standing tackles. And now the rules had to change because we need to blow the whistle sooner. Yep. So once someone's held up in a tackle, we're not encouraging players to dump them or pull them down after the tackle, because when you linger with a tackle, that's even worse, because
you can also get dragged onto your own legs and injure yourself that way. There's heaps of ways to get injured once you're connected with another person.
Yeah, and sometimes you don't throw them to the ground because you're trying to be a good bloke about it. Yeah. And then they get rid of the ball. They kick goals. Have you seen the guy standing there getting tackled and he just drops the ball onto his foot and kicks a goal? And the guys who's tackling him
get slung, dude. That's why people get slung.
The guy who's tackling him is going like, man, what do you want me to do? Like, I could have drilled him, but I just. So anyway,
I was sitting next to a guy at the game that he said, "You don't want to be an umpire right now." I thought, well, never.
Never.
Not right now, just never. But they are under a lot of scrutiny. There was a lot of fuck-ups like on the weekend. Well, not a lot, but there was one particular game where they were mounting fuck-ups pretty bad. And what are you going to do, man? Unless we get the AIs in there as well, which I don't think we're far off that either.
Robot judges. Yes.
Well, robot judges already exist in tennis. In tennis, they get rid of the umpires there. Just get a robot to call every in and out. It's fine.
Yeah. Well, there was a story during the week which I found fascinating, actually, to do with the umpires in the AFL. And what's very interesting is some of the AFL coaches didn't even know about this during the week, and it was revealed. And the two of these AFL coaches were like, "Hey, can you please explain what's going on?"
Go on.
The umpires, you may have seen, have an earpiece in.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this is for a variety of reasons. They can get told
up-to-date information.
Yeah, I don't know. You're ready to start now. I think they used to say after the adverts there'll be a light that goes off. And
results.
But they've got this earpiece in, and it's also for the umpires. Sorry, I knew they communicate with each other out there. But there is also someone who is in a box who's called the umpires coach.
Yes.
And he talks to the umpires during the game.
Oh, for fuck's sake, get down there. It's just like a regular coach's box, right?
That's what the AFL... Get
off! Get him off!
They say it's to provide encouragement to the umpires. So they say, hey, you were very well positioned for that last contest. You need... They're giving a bit of live correction. A bit like... The coaches are
they talking about decisions? Are they affecting decisions? Are they talking to people at the game?
This is the integrity of the game that is at stake.
Wow, it's just one guy.
Because what happens if this umpire's coach says, just be careful with those holding the ball calls, mate, or is in someone's ear or pressuring
during the game,
or leaning on them during a game. That is not on.
Okay.
The umpire has to make their own decisions.
They should be making decisions for the whole game and then talking about it afterwards,
or at quarter time, half time, 3/4 time, like the AFL coaches do. Not during. Apparently, the AFL coaches were like, "What do you mean that there's some guy that's telling them things during the game?"
Can you imagine a world where there's a guy who's up in that coach's box, but he also has some autonomy to overrule some decisions on the floor, meaning he's like, oh, that play that you just called on, that was touched. I've seen it. Call it back, like do a throw in or some shit. I don't know. Just figure it out. I reckon that wouldn't be the worst thing in the world for the game. We'd get more accurate decisions.
That wouldn't be bad. But if you tell a player an umpire after the fact that, you may have got that one wrong, now you're under pressure to maybe rectify it, and then you might pay a free kick that is not there, which is not. You need to try and keep this umpire as impartial as possible.
You're more worried about the umpire in the box going, pay that. You know, like he sees a guy take like 3/4 of a grab and he's like, yeah, you got to pay that because you paid the last one before.
Yeah, you can't have someone telling the umpire how to umpire. The umpire
blow the fucking whistle! Blow the fucking whistle! Blow the fucking whistle! Why has no one blown the whistle yet? That's what's happening on the players' coach line 80% of the time. He's like, that's holding the ball. That's holding the ball. That's holding the ball. He's just a fan at home now. That's holding the ball. What's going on? Who's not blowing the whistle here? What's going on? What do you got your face painted on? What's going on?
So
you guys are a fucking disgrace. It comes down at halftime with the board. He's got the fucking all the arrows on it. He's going, fucking idiots.
And the umpires have to have their head in the game. They can't have this threat of their coach in their ear live telling them what they're doing wrong and right. That is complicating.
Would you support the players all having communications devices up to the coach's box? Would you
Not to the
support
coach's
that?
Box.
Why not? Why not? If it's just a question of technology and stuff, why can't the coaches go and chime in and go, yo,
interesting, yeah.
Run now.
All run
go
left.
for the
Everyone
run
go
now.
left. Everyone left.
yeah. Or he's got two at the same time. He's like, right, you guys are going to kick to each other.
Could you imagine being the coach, and everyone can? You'd be like, back door, to your right, mate. But you're trying to. You would be exhausted.
Nah, you'd have an AI that sorts out who you'd want to talk to and only activates those channels when you're talking about something in particular. It knows that, this is for the forwards. This is just for this guy and this guy who he's going to kick it to. It would know all that. I think it'd be a great way to watch the game, because I'd sign up for KO's Super Plus program so that I could just have a full view on the coach's box, just watching him direct traffic as best he can.
It would be exhausting trying to communicate constantly like that. And it would be very distracting, I think, for the players. But maybe it'd help, because they say talk. When I was in junior footy, the most important thing that our coach stressed was talk. Yep. He said, you got to be talking out there. You got to be talking to each other. You don't have eyes on the back of your head. Tell a player when he's got 5. Tell him when he's hot. Tell him when you're behind him. Give chatter. Just constant talk. And if someone's backing back and they're clear, you tell them. Yep. You call them back. You say you got it.
Nobody's talking. Talk to each other.
So this is just the next level of that. But I just don't like it from an umpiring point of view, and also just the fact it seems grey, because there's recordings of the umpire's coach talking to the umpires, but apparently no one's requested them, or I don't know what bloody Freedom of Information Act request you have to fulfill to get that kind of
well, obviously it'd be pretty scandalous if there was someone in there who was actually affecting decisions on the field. If there was some sort of overstep in those remarks and comments, then we'd have a story here.
It would be very scandalous. And because there's this vacuum now of understanding, then the potential for that is there. And the potential to influence games. What they should do is pop a fan from either side from the coaches committee thing, put a fan from either side there so that they can both talk to the umpires on the ground. So they'll be like, that was holding the ball. And the other one can say, that wasn't holding the ball. And they can have a bit of an umpire coach off to then decide the actual decision on the field. It's probably just the most democratic way to go about it. And it reminds me a little bit of a deep state type situation we have going on here, because you have some umpires coach that's not getting any of the criticism, of the scathing,
literally pulling strings,
potentially pulling strings there's only so many umpires coaches. I think there's 7 of them.
Yeah, but the same thing was leveled at the match review officer, because it's one guy. It's one bloke who looks at every single incident.
Yeah, but people know they're scrutinising him and holding him responsible. No one's scrutinising this umpire's coach. They're scrutinising the umpire's call. So they're almost scapegoats potentially for this umpire's coach. If the worst is true. I'm sure it's fine. But it's just it's interesting that some coaches were like, hey, hold on, sorry, who's talking to them? There's another coach talking to the umpires. Yeah,
it's a bit of a worry, isn't it?
Yeah. Maybe they haven't been as transparent as they should be, and letting other AFL coaches know what is and isn't being said. Like, there must be some kind of protocols dictating that.
Yeah, but it's not something you'd lie about, because it's something we're going to find out about. So,
yeah, I think so. And just to cap off this mullet analysis, so as I said, 38% of 19-year-olds have a mullet, with no player over 31 has a mullet.
What? I don't believe that.
That's the fact. That's the Australian. Why don't you believe that? That makes perfect sense.
Because someone like Tom Hawkins, I could believe someone of his age having a mullet. I
could believe it, but the fact is
Yeah,
no
right.
player in the AFL in their picture as
Yep.
March this year has a mullet. The median age across the league is 24, but for players with mullets, the age is 21. So you can see how it's skewed towards the younger players.
Uh-huh.
And so just two more stats. 1 in 3 players aged 21 or under have a mullet. I had no idea that it was that high, but 1 in 3.
Well, good news. It says here, this is Reddit. Mullets are big in Australia, from tradies to school kids to sportsmen. Most people like the mullet as an act of defiance.
Ooh,
These days, it's not an act of defiance for most, it's fashion.
Totally. So the data suggests that the best players appear to be mulletless. But they are also generally younger.
I always think that way about a sports star if they present themselves in a particular way, especially a very clean cut, nice boy kind of like way. I always think, man, you're not dedicated enough. If you can have time to look that good, you're not dedicated enough to your craft. You could spend extra time not looking in the mirror before you go to training and actually be at training. So they are limited in my mind. If you're too good looking, you've limited your potential. So I like a bit of gruff, but it has to be real. If someone's got a very manicured mullet, that's almost more work than a really bad one.
I see. Well, the ones that come to mind from the 80s that you were talking about that a lot of work I think went into was look up Gary Ayres' mullet.
Yep. Okay.
He had a big buffy one. Like big buffy mullets were in the 80s. Warwick Capper had a pretty disgraceful one, but was probably pretty sexy at the time.
Yeah, classic. This is what I'm talking about. This is fantastic. Just Hawthorne in general had mullets.
They had a lot.
Gary Ablett had the balding mullet, which is like a real, like a huge power move. Like Gary Ablett Sr., when he played AFL, Gary Ablett Sr., he looked about 60. Do you know what I'm saying? And I think this is true for just a lot of people of the eras 100%. And the eras prior, is they just aged really terribly. And he looked like the coach of the team or one of the dads. That's what he looked like. He looked like one of the dads, like he was going to pick up one of them.
Yeah, he's the coach. Coach become player.
Yeah, what a time. We'll be back same time next week. If you did find a bit that you did enjoy, let us know in the comments. If you didn't find a bit, you should definitely let us know in the comments. And if you, like last week's guy, thought that this was just VTube cringe, chuck that in as well, because we dig it.
Thank you.
We love that.
Next week we'll talk about Neuralink's first implant.
Okay, next week. There you go. It's happening. Teaser. Mm-hmm. Okay. More stuff next week. See you then.